Okay, so a few things that you should keep in mind when you're doing this. One, you should have a buddy with you to assist you in the removal of your van, or of your door. If you don't have a buddy, remember these key rules. The door on this van is very long, okay, and it is heavy. Now, it can be lifted, it can be removed from the vehicle with just one person, but there's a few little things that you should exercise, and you should exercise extreme caution as well. Make sure you're wearing proper footwear, because if this door does drop on your toes, it may require an emergency room visit. Trust me, it's heavy, and if it's got rust on the bottom of the door, it may require a tetanus shot. So be safe out there, people. If you only have one person, okay, that is fine. Before you remove your last bolt on this door, have the door sit on the edge of the sills. This way, when you remove your last bolt, the door isn't going to come crashing down, and it'll give you a chance to remove your last bolt from behind here, and it'll give you time to grasp your door and remove it from the vehicle. So, all you need to start things off is a 10mm socket. That's all you need for most vehicles. If, for whatever reason, yours requires a different size, that's okay. But for the mini Dodge vehicles, this is what you need, is a 10mm socket and ratchet, and this also pertains to even new Dodge vehicles even today. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to want to do here is at the bottom of this door there's a catch. This catch needs to be removed. What it does is it stops the door from rolling forward while passengers are getting in and out, so this doesn't jam their leg up against the front roof pillar. You're going to want to remove that. There's 2 bolts underneath there. Let's get started. First up, to removing our sliding door here, we're going to remove the safety catch that keeps the door from sliding forward. 10mm socket required for this. Now, there are 2 of them, so there is one underneath here. Now, you'll notice that because of the rocker panel, you might not be able to get your ratchet in there, so use a 10mm wrench instead to complete that task. Go ahead and loosen off the rest of this one. Okay, set that out of the way. Now, as we look deeper into our door here, you're going to find 2 10mm bolts that are required to be removed in order to remove the door from the vehicle. Looking at the door from the top of the vehicle now, we can see 4 fasteners. We have 2 attached directly to the door, and we have 2 just directly attached to the mounting bracket, to the slider bar here. What you're going to want to do is, if you take a note, at the bottom of these 2 fasteners here, you can actually see a bit of a gap in between the rod and the hex of the bolt. What this is an adjuster. Okay, if you remove these 2 bolts here from this bar, what you're going to have to do is probably spend at least a half an hour trying to realign the door so that the striker plate makes good contact with the latch plate on the roof pillar. Now, if you remove it from the door directly, you won't have to realign and make any adjustments later. So as an FYI, just remove the fasteners from the door only. This will save you a lot of headache in the long run. If we take note on this door, for example, this is where your slider bar bolts up to. Notice that it's not like most doors where you actually have to make an adjustment someplace. Notice here, all you have to do is directly bolt your slider bar right to the door. No adjustments needed. So as long as you leave those 2 fasteners on the slider bar well enough alone, you won't have to spend any extra time in making adjustments afterwards. Okay, so the 2 bolts that are at the top of the door here, just loosen them off. Don't remove them completely. We're not ready for that yet. We'll leave those bolts as a last resort. Don't just remove those just yet, because like I say, when you remove fasteners from here, the door could shift this way and default to your right. You really don't want that happening. You don't want any surprises, because like I say, if you're replacing a door, you really don't care about this one. Even still, you don't want the door to just shift to your right and then smash on the driveway, and all of a sudden, you know, your 6-year-old little girl all of a sudden gets a piece of glass in her foot. Okay? Like I was saying before about the emergency room visits, let's keep it to a minimum. Now, we'll leave these bolts as a last resort. You can tell there's a fair bit of play here. The door is ready to loosen off. I still have 2 fasteners at the back. But what I'm going to do here is that before I go any further, I'm going to now loosen off and remove the fasteners at the bottom of the door. Now I am prepared for it. So once I have those 2 fasteners removed, what I'm going to do is lift the door up, and I'm going to set it on the sills. This way the door isn't going to come crashing down. I'll be ready to remove it. There won't be any surprises. While sitting in the vehicle, right here I have a good vantage point. I can grab onto the handle, make sure that it's not going to shift on me, because right now I'm going to remove these 2 last bolts. Now keep in mind it is going to sit on the slider bar, so there won't be any problems, but just like I say, keep an eye out for stuff, alright? Like, you have a fair bit of steel, you know, suspended in the air, and I mean that literally. So once you remove the last bolt and there's nothing holding this on here, you know, it's all on you. Okay, so right now, as we can see, I have the door partially closed. The door is actually sitting just on the sill, which is what I want. Now I'm going to start to remove the back door fastener and the top fastener off of the top. So with my final bolt removed, there it is. Put it on the roof. And we can go ahead and proceed to remove our door. Yay! There it is. Take a look at our bottom one. Alright, nothing to it. Alright. If yours are heavily rusted, maybe you would care to paint them. It depends on how much you care for your vehicle. I know minivans really aren't a popular vehicle to be driving around and to restore, but you never know. You might find somebody. And it's just that simple. Well, now let's get on with the installation. Now, we'll take note here, your sliders. Okay, they just simply pry off like that. If you were experiencing some squealing or some noises when you were upon opening and closing the doors, that, you know, noises that just aren't very nice to hear, well, now would be a good time to start lubricating some of these rollers. A slight lubrication will help you in the long run. There's nothing to it. Just make sure that the rollers are seated properly. Okay? That's all they do. There's nothing to it. They're very easily to remove and install. Just like that. All you have to do is lift up, pull it. Okay? So, lithium grease, for example, is a fine lubricant. It doesn't really matter. Anything will suffice. So like I say, just like that. The installation of your van doors is basically the same as the removal. Once you attach the door, check the alignment, make sure that the door latches properly to the striker, and that the door is not banging or bashing up against any other component on the vehicle. Check the operation of all door locks and latches and door handles. Make sure that they are operating the way they are supposed to. And connect all or any electrical hookups and connections that were removed during the removal. Make sure to restow the connectors and check all operations to make sure that everything is functioning the way it should. And you're back on the road again. Happy motoring.